Greetings of the day, dear students. I would like to welcome all of you for the sixth semester BSc Microbiology, one of the most important core course which has a course code of 6B016 MCB called Sanitation Microbiology. This is one of the most important paper in your microbiology career. Today we are going to start the module number 1 of sanitation microbiology, that is introduction to sanitation microbiology and importance of environmental sanitation and aesthetics. As you all know, the definition of sanitation microbiology, it is a science which based on the detection of risk which is associated with the production, manufacture and consumption of foods and water. And sanitation microbiology mainly established that the major environmental factors that determine the survival, growth and inactivation of microorganisms. And sanitation is the public health condition which is related with the clean drinking water and adequate treatment and disposal of human excreta and sewage. That is the definition of sanitation. I repeat once again, sanitation may be defined as it is a public health concern related to the cleaning water and adequate treatment and disposal of human excreta and sewage. And whenever you talks about sanitation, sanitation systems are very, very important. These sanitation systems are aimed to protect human health by providing a clean environment that stop the transmission of the disease, especially to the root fecal oral. And this is the preliminary concept of sanitary microbiology or sanitation microbiology. And we are going to discuss in detail about sanitation. So what do you mean by sanitation? According to World Health Organization, the term sanitation defines as the following manner. So sanitation may be defined as it is the provision of facilities and services for the safe disposal of human urine and feces. So, it is the adequate facility for the proper and safe disposal of human and fecal materials. And it is the maintenance of hygienic condition through the service such as garbage collection and proper waste water disposal or sewage disposal. And there are so many types of sanitation systems are present. The main sanitation systems are basic sanitation, food sanitation, location sanitation, ecological sanitation, environmental sanitation. So basic sanitation, it is the administration of human excrement at the family unit level. So the basic sanitation is nothing but the excrement of the human, okay, and that will be administrated at the family unit level. That is what the administration of human excrement at the family unit level. Food sanitation, it is the measure for guaranteeing the healthy food security. So health, that is very, very important. So the food sanitation is a vital component of the health. So it is the measure for guaranteeing the healthy and food security. Then Next one is local sanitation. That is the accumulation and treatment of waste is carried out where it is saved. Okay, that is known as local sanitation. So local sanitation is the process of accumulation and treating the waste material from the original place. That is known as local sanitation. Next one is ecological sanitation, which is an idea of refusing to use the supplement from the human and animal waste. So that you need to refuse to the use of supplement from the human and animal waste material. That is known as ecological sanitation. Next one is environmental sanitation, which is the control of natural factors that frame interface in alignment transmission. Okay, the control of several natural parameters which frame interface in the alignment transmission. That means to say a strong waste administration, water and wastewater treatment and modern treatment facilities are the major part of environmental sanitation. Then, what are the major sanitation approaches? The major sanitation approaches are community-led total sanitation, container-based sanitation, ecological sanitation, emergency sanitation, environmental sanitation, on-site sanitation, and sustainable sanitation. So community-led total sanitation, the sanitation approaches that is happening in a closed community are known as community level based total sanitation. So next one is a container based sanitation. The sanitation is happening a small containment or zone. Okay, if you perform that, that is known as containment or container based sanitation. Next one is ecological sanitation. The sanitation that is performing in a particular ecological region or geographical locations are known as ecological sanitation. Next one is emergency sanitation. The sanitation that is performing in an emergency condition, very emergency condition. If you clean and perform the sanitation, that is known as emergency sanitation. Then next one is environmental sanitation. This is the biggest application from all this sanitation, where we are going to clean the total environment, the air, water and soil system for the total pollution. Next one is on-site sanitation. If you sanitize a particular site at a particular time, that is known as on-site sanitation. Then if you are having a long and sustainable approach for sanitation with a lot of important principles based on all the sanitation, that is known as sustainable sanitation. Then we are going to discuss among all those things. I told you the combination of all those things are known as environmental sanitation. So what do you mean by environmental sanitation? It is a branch of public health that is concerned with the control of all those factors in man's surroundings or the physical environment which may have detrimental impact on the human health and well-being. That is known as environmental sanitation. So it is a branch of public health that concerned with the control of all the factors in the surroundings of human beings and the physical environment of human beings that has detrimental impact to the total life that is happening in the ecosystem. That is known as environmental sanitation. Next one is environmental sanitation. It is an art of science, or the other definition, it's an art of science that apply the basic sanitary, biological, chemical and physical science principles and knowledge to improve and control the environment and parameters therein for the protection of the health and welfare of the public. I think this is the most appropriate definition for environmental sanitation. So environmental sanitation, it is really an art of science which applying the sanitary, biological, chemical and physical science principles, which includes environmental microbiology, all the microbiology principles and knowledge to improve and control the environment, thereby protect the health and welfare of the public. And the hygienic practices of promoting health through prevention of human contact with the hazards of waste as well as the treatment and proper disposal of the sewage and wastewater is another important definition of environmental sanitation. So, the hygienic principles and practices that is used to promote the health, to the prevention of human contact with the hazards of waste as well as the treatment and proper disposal of sewage or wastewater. And these are the another important definition for sanitation. So three different types of definition we have seen. The meaning is that the same. Environmental sanitation is simply, we can tell it as the sanitation principle for the proper existence of the human and animal and their health and their well-being. Then these hazards can be the physical hazards, microbiological hazards, biological hazards and the chemical hazard that is responsible for the disease. So the major hazards are the microbiological hazard whenever you talk about the environmental sanitation or sanitary microbiology. That is why sanitary microbiologies are extremely important in this time of this pandemic that is caused by SARS coronavirus 2. Then, what are the environmental conditions that is required to provide adequate sanitation environment? The activities which aimed at improving or maintaining the standard of basic environmental principles and conditions which affect the well-being of the people or common man. The activities which objectives at improving or maintaining the standard of basic environmental condition which affect the well-being of the people. So this condition which improves the basic and environmental condition for the well-being of people or common man includes the clean and safe water supply, clean and safe water supply, clean and safe ambient air, efficient, safe animal, human and industrial waste disposal system, the protection of food from biological and chemical contaminants, adequate housing or shelter in clean and safe surroundings. So these are the major conditions one require in order to provide adequate sanitation facilities. You require safe and clean water for drinking. You require clean and safe and pure air for breathing. You require the food and that is completely free from biological and chemical contaminants. You require efficient and safe animal, human and industrial waste disposal and management system. And you require adequate shelter or housing in clean and safe surrounding that culminate into the life in the ecosystem for very long time. And what are the benefits of environmental sanitation? Why do you talk about this environmental sanitation? What is the major benefit of environmental sanitation? These environmental sanitations are very essential component in public health improvement. This is very, very important. This is very, very important in the environmental conservation. This is very important in the employment generation. This is very much essential for the potential in utilizing the waste as the renewable source of energy, bioenergy such as biogas, or nutrients that is responsible for the production of food, water for agriculture, etc. etc. So the public health improvement, public health hygienic practices, environmental conservation, the important natural environmental parameter need to be conserved for the biogeochemical cycling, the proper balancing of the geochemical cycling, which we have already discussed about in environmental microbiology, thereby generate employment for adequate environmental sanitation that contribute employment generation. Then it is very very important, the present world that is lacking the bioenergy too much, and this bioenergy, which is the potential in utilizing the waste as the renewable source, using adequate and potential microbial sources to convert potential useful components and products such as biodiesel or biogas, okay, or bioenergy or biofuels, okay. So these are the benefits of environmental sanitation. Then what are the component of environmental sanitation? The major components that is in this sanitation microbiology or environmental sanitation are water sanitation, food and milk sanitation, excreta disposal, sewage disposal, refuse disposal, vector and vermin control, housing and air sanitation. These are the major component of environmental sanitation. Water sanitation, you require food and milk sanitation, excreta disposal and sewage disposal and treatment, refuse disposal, vector and vermin control. Next one is shelter, that is very very essential in a proper place, that is known as housing. Next one is air sanitation. So this is another very very important aspects or components of environmental sanitation. Then we are going to discuss the water sanitation. Pure drinking water is one of the primary concern of environmental sanitation. Water sanitation, water analysis, which contains the physical, chemical and radiological and bacteriological and biological properties of water. That is very important. The physical parameters, chemical parameters, the chemicals, the radiological parameters, the biological parameter, the bacteriological quality. All these things are very very important in the case of water sanitation. The public water supply must be safe, reasonably soft, plentiful, and it should be cheap, because this is one of the major important aspects. Nowadays the water resources, due to the interference in the human in the ecosystem, are totally deteriorated or diminished, and we require the safe, reasonable, plentiful and cheap water supply facilities. That is very much essential for the water sanitation. Then the household treatment of water in an adequate level. You know, there are a lot of techniques like boiling, simple boiling beyond 2 minutes and 100 at 100 degrees centigrade. Chlorination generally 1 to 5 ppm. Iodine treatment and 10 drops per gallon. Filtration or aeration. As you all know, chlorine and halogen treatment will be very much useful because these halogen are toxic to the microorganism. So that is another important thing. Next important thing, water is the major source of transmitting the disease. Water related diseases which are communicable or non-communicable diseases. Some water disorders are communicable diseases that will be transmitted through the communities. That is non-communicable diseases that is restricted in a particular area and which will not transmit. However, the water sanitation system will be having a very very important role, and these water related diseases are classified into different groups: waterborne diseases, water washed diseases, water based diseases, water related insect vector diseases. So these are the major types of water diseases that we will discuss later. Then next one is food and milk sanitation. So as you all know, food-borne diseases are the major consequences if you don't sanitize the food or milk products. Food poisoning or food intoxication. You know that the food poisoning, that is two types. One is food infection. Next one is food intoxication. Food infection is nothing but the organism that is present in the food item will be causing the infection. Food intoxication, that is the organism they are able to produce toxins, and that toxin will be able to produce the disease. So these are bacterial. We have already discussed. You have seen Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Clostridium perfringens or Clostridium welchii or Clostridium botulinum. Then these are major things. Some are the toxicants, some are the sporulated organism. Okay. Next is plants or animals, mushroom. That is very, very important toxic component. Then the edible mushrooms are also there, such as Agaricus campestris, Agaricus biosporius, Letunella iodot, okay, Pleurotus ostriatus, such kind of edible mushrooms are there. Similarly, you are having pathogenic mushrooms, such as Amanita phalloides. It contribute two types of toxin, that is a neurotoxin, alpha amanitin and phalloidin. Okay. Next is mussels. Next one is fish and herbs. From all the parameters, there are a lot of food poisoning or intoxication will be happening. The chemicals that is undergo, we have already discussed biomagnification. That is dichloro, diphenyl, trichloroethane, DDT. Okay, lead, mercury, chromium, cadmium, arsenic. Okay, all these heavy metal toxicities are very, very common in the water bodies. So you need to sanitize the milk, sanitize the food. Milk sanitation is possible by using sterilization. The contribution of Pasteur. Okay, he have developed the method called pasteurization, that is heat treatment. There are two types of method. One is long time short duration method, that is known as holding method or watt method. Okay, so you will be having 62.8 degree for 30 minutes, or flash process or flash method, high temperature short time method. So here 72 degrees centigrade approximately, and you will be having certain seconds. Okay, these are the important methods for the milk sanitation. So the sanitation of food and milk sanitation especially is important. Food sanitation is also very, very important, because foodborne disorders are the major health concern in a public healthcare system. Then the refuse disposal. What do you mean by refuse disposal? So the community diffuse disposal methods are the major community refuse disposal methods. Dumping on land, simply we will dump on the land, sanitary landfill, composting, incineration, reduction and salvages. We will discuss all those things in detail. So this community refuse disposal methods implement on land or sanitary landfills, composting, incineration, reduction and salvage. The refuse disposal methods for major waste disposal methods for the common locality or household or domestic purposes, such as burial. Next one is burning. Next one is feeding to animals, composting, grinding and disposal to sewers or sewage systems. So these are the major refuse disposal methods that is available for the domestic and household purposes. The next one is refuse collection. The frequent collection of refuse, especially garbages, that is very much essential for a good sanitation practices. It is necessary to cover the refuse in a vehicle during the transportation to final disposal sites or location to prevent flies and other vectors to minimize the odors. So it is very much essential to transport adequately from the collected material in a proper vehicle and transport and safely discard all this particular refuse or waste. It is important to have adequate and properly maintained collection container or carts which carries the carrying trucks or other vehicle to eliminate the collection delay and complaints from the residents. Okay, so many parameter, because whenever this particular waste material is transporting from one system to other system, it is an excellent source of the transmission of infection, which all are the way the vehicle is going. So the public, if that is directly in contact with this vehicle that has pathogenic microbial content, so definitely the disease will spread. So it is very much essential for the refuse or waste collection in an adequate and proper way. Next one is vermin control. Wherever waste is, there are a lot of vermins, that is rodents or insects. There are a lot of methods to reduce the vermin control, physical and mechanical methods. You are having chemical, addition of certain chemical, biological agents you can add, or environmental method, and a lot of educational aspects. Okay, you can use all this knowledge, the available knowledge, for the control of the rodent and insect, that is known as vermin control. These are all about the refuse disposal. So among this, we have discussed the water sanitation, food and milk sanitation, and refuse disposal. So all other things are very, very essential, and that is the important aspects. Now we are going to the next section. What is the importance of environmental sanitation and aesthetics? How environmental aesthetics and sanitations are playing a vital role in the ecological balance, and why this is very much essential for the public health management. So what do you mean by environmental aesthetics? Environmental aesthetics means, or it is defined as, the interaction between an individual and the environment in relation to the beauty. The beauty of the ecosystem should be maintained by proper and balanced interaction between the individual and the surrounding ecosystem. So the individual is having a lot of responsibility to play with the interaction to the surroundings, and it should not violate the beauty of the ecosystem, and it should not damage the stability or the features of the ecosystem. The biogeochemical cycling process should not be hampered. The air, water, and soil should not be polluted. All these conditions, the area that is known as environmental aesthetics. Aesthetics is the interaction between the individual and the individual or the ecosystem that is related to the beauty. Okay, so this is all about the aesthetics. So next we are going to discuss what is the environmental health issues. That is mainly a problematic case in environmental sanitation. What are the environmental issues, mainly health issues, that is going to act as the detriments and health consequences in a substantial level to the public. Okay, the environmental and health issues that contribute a lot of issues and problems in a substantial level to the ecosystem. So this determines and health consequences are very much essential. Now in this table you can see these are the underlying determinant and what are the adverse health and side effect due to the consequence that is currently undergoing the ecosystem, that is mainly problematic for the sanitation microbiology. First one, inadequate water. Quality and quantity of the water. The sanitation, that is wastewater and excreta removal and solid waste disposal, improper hygiene such as hand washing. Nowadays it is very much essential at this point of this pandemic. So if these are the potential difficulties, potential problem, so the inadequate water facilities, sanitation and solid waste disposal, okay, improper hygiene, etc. will contribute. What it will contribute? Diarrhea and vector-related diseases such as malaria, schistosomiasis, dengue, fever, etc. Next one, the next problem is the next consequence. If you violate, if you don't do improper waste resource management such as urban and rural, management, including the poor drainage. If you don't clean the drainages properly, that related with the consequences leads to vector-related diseases. Vector-related diseases, malaria, you know that. Malaria will be mainly happening. Okay. Next one is schistosomiasis actually. Okay. These are protozoan parasitic diseases. Next one, crowded housing and pure ventilation of smoke. Crowded housing, and if you don't have proper ventilation, so it will lead to acute and chronic respiratory disorders including lung cancer from coal and tobacco smoke inhalation. So if you don't have a proper ventilation to remove the smoke, it will lead to lot of problem, lung cancer and other health issues. Then if you exposure to the vehicular and industrial air pollution, one of the major potential problematic currently, that is the vehicle pollution. Every day how many vehicles are newly registering and newly coming out of the roads. So it contributes lot of vehicular pollution, aeronautical or pollutions actually. So here the industrial air pollution is also very, very important. So that contribute the respiratory diseases, some cancers and loss of IQ in children. The intellectual quotient in the children, it will be adequately affected. Next one is the movement of population and encroachment and construction, which affect feeding and breeding grounds of vectors such as mosquitoes. Okay, the population movement and encroachment and constructions which affect the feeding and breeding of the ground vectors such as mosquitoes, that contribute lot of problem, especially vector-borne diseases such as dengue fever, malaria and schistosomiasis, which spread a lot of other infectious diseases such as the HIV or AIDS and Ebola fever. Okay, all so many viral infections. Then if you expose to the naturally occurring toxic substances, the poisoning from chemical poisoning such as arsenic, manganese and fluorides, this contribute a lot of problems. So if you expose the toxic material from the factories or industry, that leads to potential problems like as arsenic, manganese and fluorides. The next one is the natural resources are degraded, okay, such as mudslides or poor drainage or erosions. What will happen? The natural resource degradation. If it is degraded, then injury and death from the mudslides and flooding. So now we have already discussed the unexpected flood that is recently came across the part of our state. Okay, the total deterioration of the environment. The environment is giving us back. Environment is teaching the lesson to us. Next one is the climate change, partially from combustion of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide in transportation, industry and poor energy conservation in housing, fuel, industry and commerce. So the greenhouse gases contribute lot of problem, especially global warming. Okay, the deterioration of ozone layer, then the injury, death from extreme heat or cold, storms, flood, fires, the indirect effects such as spread of vector-borne diseases, aggravation of respiratory diseases, population dislocation, water pollution from sea level, suddenly, unexpectedly it is rising. You know that unexpected tsunamis, okay, that totally washing all the soil system, and so many lives are that is adversely affecting. Then ozone layer depletion from the industrial or commercial activity. The industrial and commercial activities that leads to, that is expelling lot of toxic gases like chlorofluorocarbon, that create a hole to the ozone layer, and the ultraviolet rays are directly entering to the ecosystem and creating a lot of issues, contributing the problems such as cataract, indirect effects like compromised food production, skin cancers. All those things are the problem. So this in the left, whatever we have discussed is the interference. If you don't do sanitation properly, if you don't care about our nature, right side, you will experience all these consequences if you don't bother about sanitation microbiology and environmental sanitation. So what are the level of environmental sanitation? The sanitation should begin in the house level. Okay, your own house, you treat all your places, your working place as your house. Okay, the classrooms as your house, your personal room. Okay, the sanitation should start from the household level. Good quality housing is a key component for ensuring the healthy community. Without individual communities cleanliness, you cannot make a community clean. Okay, good quality housing is a potential element for ensuring healthy life. So poor housing can lead to several health complications such as and infectious diseases such as tuberculosis, one of the potential problem. So everyone should therefore have associated to good quality housing and environmental and home environment, and there should be adequate provision for all the waste management things in the house. Next one is, once house is over, you will be having the community. Several houses are collectively frame a small community. Then the sanitation begins, or sanitation should be takes place at the community level. So good health is not merely the absence of disease. Good health is not merely the absence of disease. You can reduce the control, or you can control the disease. Take proper waste disposal strategy. Don't dump the waste. Okay, carefully remove the waste. Okay, segregate the waste. Don't mix the waste. Okay, and don't contribute biomagnification. If the waste is entering into the ecosystem, this directly or indirectly affecting the food chain and food web. We have already discussed in environmental microbiology. And avoid waste from water source. Water is the most precious thing. It's very much essential. And avoid high noise and remove the source of pollutant. High noise need to be avoided. High noise and remove the sources of pollutants from the ecosystem. So in that way, the community can be always make a safe level. Then the importance of environmental sanitation. Why do you require this environmental sanitation? The importance of individual and community health status, it is very much essential. Environmental sanitation and sanitation microbiology especially important in the individual and community health. Protection against so many diseases or microbial diseases such as and some other diseases like cancer. Next one, controlling the environment pollution and protecting the environment. We need to control or minimize the pollution, and we need to protect the environment and provide healthful environment. All the soil system, the air system, that is aquatic system, or the water system or aquatic system, or the air system should be clean, and there should be provision always to remove the waste material. Minimize the microbial flora, especially pathogenic microorganisms. Okay, so encourage green technologies, cultivate plants, and we can remove all the waste materials. So encourage the environmental condition, adequate environmental condition, whatever we have discussed in the initial part of this particular class, that we need to encourage. Then the coordination with the effort of environmental health team and government agencies. There should be proper and knowledgeable people. There should be there to monitor and lead the environmental health practices. Okay, there should be a good outcome out that actually. So these are the importance of environmental sanitation. Then a clean environment always interrupt the transmission of disease. If you are having a clean environment, always that provide the transmission of the disease. Environmental sanitation always promote hygiene, the personal hygiene, frequent hand washing, and social distancing. Okay, and all such kind of things are very much essential to promote the sanitation perspectives or principle at this time of the pandemic. And maintaining a clean environment is creating an aesthetically pleasing environment. I told you, aesthetically pleasing environment, the relationship between the environmental beauty and the human beings, especially the living things, that should be pleasantly we can maintain. If the outdoor air is clean, the indoor air is also will be clean. Okay, the outdoor air is clean because air travels everywhere. Okay, if the outdoor air is clear and indoor air is always clear, then a clean environment means always fresh, healthy air, and that is lack the microbial flora, infectious dust, droplets and droplet nuclei. All those things are very much essential for the environmental sanitation. Then, what is the importance of this environmental sanitation? Why we should have this environmental sanitation as environmental aesthetics for the sanitation microbiology? It's always promote health. Primary and most important things nowadays is the health. Okay, it prevent disease transmission. It spread the transmission of diseases. Whenever you monitor the environment, it diminish the possibilities of the vector-borne disease transmission, and it eliminate the breeding place of insects and rodents that may be carriers of the disease. Okay, there are several. Say for example, rat that can cause plague. Mosquito, you know that so much of problems. Okay, dengue, chikungunya. Okay, or all other type of malaria, all such kind of things. It improves good quality environmental sanitation, improve the quality of life, the quality of personal life. Then to always prevent the pest infestation of pest that create a lot of problems. Okay, the pest will be a problematic case in the agriculture, that the clean and sanitizing environment will be controlling the pest, which kills all the unnecessary bacteria. It retain the useful bacteria. Then it's always reduce the potential for cross contamination. The chances of cross contamination within the ecosystem will be diminished or reduced if you are having a proper sanitation aspects. Then which can help to increase the shelf life of fruits, vegetables and all the food items, which can help to increase the shelf life of everything in the ecosystem. Then which can minimize the chances for injury. In case injury is there, the environment is clean and safe, the transmission of the disease and contamination will not be happening. So in such a condition, you will be able to help to create a more pleasant work environment. You will be able to get lot of enthusiasm and freshness. You will feel like to work. You will feel like to enjoy your life with your family and the society. Okay, so that is the importance of environmental sanitation. Then, if you talks about the importance of environmental sanitation, there are a lot of urban development dimensions and cross-sectoral dimensions. Not only the personal level, it can lead to the urban developmental areas or cross-sectional dimension. It can help to in various fields of the society. In the case of urban development, public health can be improved. It will be completely protect our environment. The natural resources will be retained and that can be managed. And adequate use of land. Okay, land management can be done properly. The reduction of poverty, whatever the available land is there, the effective cultivation technique and agricultural practice can be implemented by adequate sanitation. The business and employment, that is what I told you. A good sanitation create employment opportunities. Okay, nowadays the biggest problem for the youth is the lack of employment. That can be solved. Then in the case of a cross-sectoral dimension, urban, rural, in between, okay, middle or intermediate, the water supply and drainage, adequate environmental sanitation always manage the water supply properly and drainage will be clean. That will be manage the solid waste management by various advanced methods. Even though the waste materials are there, the waste material can be culminated into useful products by using proper microorganism. Sheltering, I told you, food. Next one, energy, one of the most important requirement nowadays. The prices for petrol, diesel and bioenergies every day it is drastically increasing. Microbiology based technologies are very, very important. Using this waste material can be used as a substrate and they can be converted into useful products, energy rich materials. The transport, nowadays the transport costs a lot. Okay, the green area management, cultivation of trees, okay, the greeneries, promote greeneries actually, green environment. That is why the World Environmental Days talks actually June 5th. Next one, lot of agricultural practices, new practices that helps to promote a good quality of food products. Then the government of India, the national health portal, if you look, they have defined the importance of sanitation. Okay, sanitation, the main important aspects of sanitation in the government of India, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, that need to be reduced the disease, which improves the nutritional aspects of the children. If poor sanitation, the nutrients will be drastically affected. Nutritional condition, they will not be having, then it leads to the malnutrition. 20% of the children in India, they are suffering a serious condition known as inadequate food, inadequate water, carbohydrate, protein, lipids, etc. They become nutrient people. Enhance the safety and well-being of the children. Okay, enhance using importance of sanitation. Children, which are tomorrow's future of the country. Okay, enhance the safety and well-being of children. Increase the educational perspectives, especially to the women and girls. The women as well as girls, there are a lot of promotory aspects in terms of the government level to promote the environmental sanitation and sanitation microbiology. So that is why always sanitation is important aspects. So this is all about this particular unit number 1. This is just a beginning, this is just an introduction, this is just a good important aspects. So dear students, we can conclude today's class. We have discussed what do you mean by sanitation microbiology. What do you mean by sanitation? What are the different types of sanitation? What are the sanitation approaches? Environmental sanitation and sanitation conditions. Why do you want this environmental sanitation? What are the benefits or merits or advantages of environmental sanitation? What are the components of environmental sanitation? What is water sanitation? What is food and milk sanitation? Refuse disposal. Importance of environmental sanitation and aesthetics. That is the next topic mentioned in the syllabus. Then the important environmental health issues presently. Due to that health issues, what are the detriments and what are the health consequences? How the detriments that leads to the specific consequences due to the lack of proper sanitation conditions we have discussed. The importance of environmental sanitation. Finally, the level of environmental sanitation. So this is all about this particular topic. So that's all, dear students. So you can refer any of this particular book. So it will be giving you an outline of the sanitation microbiology and environmental sanitation. So thank you very much for listening this particular class. If you are having any doubt, you can write it to me or you can ask me or you can contact me directly. Thank you very much.